Good morning. It is now November 1st, Friday. I don't know what happened to October. I have this iPad I borrowed from Charlene, and I made one video so far, which was kind of random with just all the things I wanted to do because I thought I'd be writing my memoirs. I thought I'd be using my own computer from voice to text to have it in print, but the best I can do right now is some videos. I do have some other things that I had started and had written from writing class and from the class at Lee University, which was 6 weeks, but I only got to go to the first 2 weeks of that. So the other day I started 1 hour long talk, and then now I'm doing another long talk, but I'm not doing the same thing that I did before because my second one didn't record. Somehow, I don't know if I didn't have it on record or video or it ran out of power, but all I got is one picture. Anyways, I'm in my hospital bed, and I wanted to tell all kinds of stories. I wanted to tell stories about raising the kids and homeschooling, tell stories about when Robert and I met and when we were in college. I wanted to tell stories about the York Homeschool Association and my leadership in that. I wanted to tell stories about how we ended up moving to Tennessee, how interesting that our children are moved south as well, and how God has used me in so many ways when in fact I really didn't have the plan on what was going to happen, and things just happened, especially when we moved here to Tennessee and started the New Adventures Club. So there's so many topics there. Sometimes I get a little overwhelmed with what I want to share. And now that I'm in this second bout of cancer, I've had a lot of adversity with cancer, but a lot of wonderful good things have happened to me for which I am very, very grateful. So I have lots and lots of chapters to my story, and I guess I just have to pick one that I feel like talking about and go from there. So, where to begin is the question. I guess I'll start with my health journey. Let's see, I was always a little bit on the heavy side, but I got thinner when we were in college. Graduated from high school in 71, graduated from Shippensburg University in 75. I really didn't want to go to Shippensburg, but I was influenced by my parents, and that's where my dad went to school. So he was very proud I went to his alma mater, and I did love my time at Shippensburg. And most of all, I loved marching band and symphonic band. I liked rooming with Rhonda, and I liked our gang that hung around together. Now, remember, Rhonda said she had a dream about Cutchall, Connors, Kimmel, Kittner, Ward, and that was the 5 of us that were very good friends. Pam was in that too, but then she left the school when we were there. And not everybody even went to graduation. So we just finished there, and Many people change careers. Kathy Cutchall-Stevens ended up going into nursing when she had a library degree. I did go into accounting with my accounting business degree, but I didn't really like it, and I didn't really stick with that for very long. And then I got into health and nutrition. So that was a long journey. I met lots of wonderful people through Diet Workshop. That's the first thing I did. I got involved in that, and then I started teaching classes. And we had to, in order to be an instructor, we had to come up with a class topic. Everybody liked my class topic that I did because I built a cardboard box and covered it so it looked like a shopping cart. And I said, if you want to learn how to eat better, the first thing you need to do is learn how to shop better. So I did that. We were living on Roosevelt Avenue in York at the time, and I had a class that I taught weekly in Hanover. Robert was probably still working at White Rose Engraving, and then he ended up working at York Graphic Services. I'd have to look at my timeline to figure out the years of this. So then I lost a lot of weight, got a 50-pound pin. Actually, I guess I was pretty thin for a while. So Robert and I were married in 1975. And he's coming up now to talk to us. He just got up. He's dressed now. It's 11 a.m.
Who is it?
Who's what?
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to the video. Do you want to come and say hello?
No, I'm going to go finish getting ready. I thought somebody was here.
She was.
How's your blood pressure?
The nurse was not here. It was the social worker.
Okay.
I talked to her about, social worker was here, talked to her about Adam coming today.
All right, keep yapping, huh?
Okay, he says keep yapping, tell my story. So, Adam wasn't born till 1986, so that was from 75 to 85. And we were footloose and fancy free. One of the things we did that was a great trip was we borrowed my dad's pickup with the camper on the back, and we drove from York out to Casper, Wyoming, where Cindy and John were living at the time. So that was a great adventure. Loved seeing the Rocky Mountains. We went horseback riding with Cindy and John and had a great time. That's when we came home through St. Louis, and it was traffic. It was probably evening after work traffic on the interstates that we got stuck in, and we found a vehicle ahead of us that had a Pennsylvania license plate on, and we just decided to follow that car through the traffic and hope they were headed to Pennsylvania too. Another funny thing that happened in that trip is we did stop in St. Louis on the way home and went to the licorice factory and bought a whole bunch of licorice and figured we'd take it back to York with us, but it was so good and so fresh. It was right out of the factory, so we ate that before we even got out of Ohio. So that was one exciting adventure. So that was Diet Workshop, and then getting ready to be pregnant. So by then we had moved from Roosevelt Avenue, and we moved to Shasta Drive. So while we were living at Roosevelt Avenue, we had Grandma and Grandpa Butterbush to dinner, my parents to dinner, And in that era of living there, my mom had passed away, and both Florence Bush and Harry Bush had passed away. So our next house was 308 Shasta Drive, and we lived there. And Robert was now working at York Graphic Services. Terry Kinnaman came and mowed the lawn, and we had lots of parties there until such time as I got pregnant, and that's when I was working, no longer at the Army Depot, but I was working for the state of Pennsylvania in the comptroller's office for general. I can't think of what it was called. Anyways, I wanted Robert to quit smoking. I quit smoking in 1985, cold turkey. We also did some lectures on helping people to quit smoking, although Robert wasn't cold turkey. It took him a while to get away from it. He has a very addictive personality. And then we had classes at the Red Lion Birth Center. It was down on South 74. And so I still had a calendar and all kinds of a busy life and thought that would keep up, but that stops completely because at that point in time I was doing Herbalife. So I was no longer working for the state and had a lot of Herbalife contacts, including Lorraine Schindler, and was in the downline of D. Dunn. Had some good paychecks from that, but then it didn't seem to work out so well doing that with a newborn. That's when we were involved with the Mormon Church. A lot of people don't know that. Did a lot of seminary classes that were very good, using the King James Version of the Bible. So Adam was born at the Red Lion Birth Center. Shortly after he was born, that birth center closed. Since it's a birth center, you're kind of responsible for yourself. They did have a nurse and a midwife there. So when you come in for your appointment before your checkups, you would weigh yourself and get your information. And one day I came in and I saw my folder with my name on laying on the counter ready for me to record my weight and stuff. And it said A+ on it. And I thought, oh, this is great. I got a good grade on taking care of me. And then we have to laugh about that because that was my blood type. So I've always remembered I'm an A positive blood type because that means I did a good job. A+ student, haha. So Adam was about 3 hours old, maybe 5 hours old when we took him home back to Shasta Drive, and then Roseanne came. Dee and Roseanne were right there at the birth center with us. And we did the bath, warm water, so when he arrived, Adam got in the bath and Robert cleaned him off and soaked and played with him as a bonding in the bath to get him relaxed to his new environment. I nursed Adam, went to Leche League, and got involved in that organization. I've always gotten very involved in things, no matter what was happening. So were in Shasta Drive. I was doing aerobics prior to the birth, and had a housekeeper come even who ended up stealing my mother's diamond. Stole $100 because we had gone to visit Joan and Bruce before Adam was born, and went to the casino in Atlantic City, and I won $100, and I wanted to do something special with it, so I stuck it in my drawer and hid it, but that house cleaner never was convicted of the stuff that she stole from me, the $100 bill and my mother's diamond. Then we moved to Glen Rock as our next house. That was RD3 Glen Rock, back on Smith Road. So we sold our house in Arlington Park neighborhood. One thing we did fun while we lived in Arlington Park is we participated in the group candlelight, where you put the candles in the bags, luminaries that we lined all the streets in the community with. That was fun. We helped out with that too. So next thing you know, we're in Glen Rock. Bought a house that was not finished, but we finished it off. It had no front porch, and the chimney was not bricked in. So we had our neighbor son lay the masonry for the chimney. Now we had a contractor do the holes in the piling for the deck, but then the rest of the deck, the base and the railing of the deck, we did ourselves. Roseanne and Pete would come and help us with both felling the trees for our wood stove, and helped with the deck. That's when we learned about Joy Skull, and Adam did Joy Skull with those people while we were living in Glen Rock. Robert's still commuting up to York Graphic Services. I got pregnant with Karina in 1990. Adam was 4 years old. He was 5 when she was born, 5 years apart. So at that point in time, we kind of had to give up our living in Glen Rock. Cindy did come to visit us at both Shasta Drive and Glen Rock House. We had a truck farm size garden. We brought our satellite dish with us. Did a lot of canning. We lost a lot of touch with the Mormon church when we moved to Glen Rock. We were in a different ward. And then after Karina was born, we had a family bed where we turned the 2 mattresses sideways. And it was wide enough for all 4 of us. Still involved in Lay Leche League. But then we decided we had enough of the homestead life. We knew we could fell the trees, heat with wood, have a garden and can, and did a little vegetarian thing. And then moved to 108 Talisman Court. So we moved there before Karina's first birthday. That was a little house, but it was fine. It had 2 bedrooms on the split up, and then our bedroom was on the top. We had an aquarium. And it was on a cul-de-sac, and it was much closer for Robert to go to work, so he could actually ride his bike to work sometimes. So that was good. That's where Karina did Joy School. That's with Jenna and Owen. Trying to think of those Joy School people. We had a lot of big snows in that era where we would go sledding. That's where Adam was riding his bike around the block and came back with a bloody nose as he went over the curb and smashed his face. Adam had a lot of injuries, starting as a child up through college. That's also where we had a big yard sale and sold a lot of toys. And we sold that house and bought a house at auction on East Canal Road, which is a long rancher that needed a new roof. And we bought it during a drought, and it was fine, but then when the drought was over, we had water in the basement and had to get French drains put in that house. That house was a big investment, but we did stay there the longest of anywhere we had been. That's where we essentially homeschooled and raised the kids. Didn't think the traffic would be so bad on Canal Road because we were at the 4-way stop at Hakes. But it was. That's when I had the upstairs for our homeschool room, and we also had evaluations up there. I called the upstairs my everything room. We had school desks and books and a library and my sewing machine and a big attic full of stuff. So we lived there until the kids were grown. Adam had graduated from college by that time. We were very active with YHSA. Adam graduated from Elizabethtown and bought a house in Lebanon for himself and got a job with Ingram Micro. Karina had gone to Australia, and then she had started going to Bridgewater College. Adam worked at Hakes. That was a good job for him. He could even walk there if necessary. And Adam's job was at Tom's up at the corner in the square at Dover. So they both had jobs through high school, which is a good thing. And we stayed there as long as we could, but things got rough since Robert got laid off in 2020 from York Graphic Services, went back to school. Guess we had almost 9 years of struggling. And then we sold that house and got a trailer, mobile home, on Genesis Circle. In Dover. So that was our second Dover address. That was a good downsize. We got rid of lots and lots of stuff. Roseanne took lots and lots of boxes of things that we couldn't fit in the mobile home.